Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming and more Monster Hunter news, because yes, despite the fact that we're getting new news like every other day, we have a whole new trailer and it reveals quite a lot. Arguably, maybe more than they should show. So of course we're here to cover all the details from the launch trailer from Monster Hunter Wilds. But be aware that we're starting to get to the point where, pretty big things are being shown. So do expect us to talk about some of that today. We'll begin with some of the monster reveals. There's only two really to talk about. Firstly, the apex monster, the Ice Shard Cliffs, has been revealed, and we actually have the name for it. Named Jin Dahaad, which is not what I expected when we had this whole Ray Down, New Udra, or Duna theme. Jin Dahaad doesn't really fit in that, but maybe that's intentional, because maybe it's a bit different than the rest. The only description of it alongside a render that's on the website is, how can a creature be that big? So we definitely don't have a lot of information about it. It would appear then to be a massive Leviathan after all though, rather than like a snake wyvern as people were hoping, but it is the closest creature we've seen looking to the Monster Hunter 6 logo, so maybe it is more than it meets the eye. His introduction was this. It appears in frame with a massive hand that looms around the cave entrance. The face is quite flat and spiky, almost like it's covered in an armor of its own creation. As we saw from trailer 6, there's also that familiar frost cloud that pours out from its location, but here it seems to actually vent from its body rather than something it's blasting like an ice breath, and it hits the hunter like a physical blow. In the next gameplay clip, we see that ice is already on the ground, which then seems to be triggered in a frost explosion after the hand is slammed down, so maybe it puts it down then triggers it. We get this short scene of chasing into a new zone. Here it's running across a vertical wall like it's a lizard, while we're jumping across what appears to be floating rocks. In the next clip we see that it fires an ice breath, so no surprises there, but the context of what's happening here is interesting. Whatever it's actually standing on is very strange. It's like a pillar has fallen down, but seemingly stopped in time, frozen in the spot. It doesn't look like it would bear the weight of this monster under normal circumstances. So it seems like something strange is going on in what appears to be the Ice Shard Cliffs, and a relatively upvoted post about this on Reddit suggests that the thing it's hanging on isn't a natural structure. It has pipes or metal or something. So that region definitely is quite mysterious. The last bit of gameplay we get is later in the trailer, which is kind of weird. It's like a super move, I think. It's got this pillar of ice that's standing in that it seems to be about to shatter. So maybe it can form ice in this way around itself. Still, a very mysterious apex monster, and I want to keep some mystery about the game before launch, so hopefully that's the last we see of it before we all get to play. On the other hand, we had another big monster reveal, but very little details about it. This Rathalos being shown suddenly with no render, or the monster's not even listed on the website. So what the hell is this? It seems to appear in an area we've not seen before either. It's probably the Ice Shard Cliffs, that fourth locale. So yeah, not much I can say about this monster other than the fact that it's got this white and blue theme compared to a normal Rathalos. Is it just a unique Rathalos, or is it going to be like what we've seen from World and Rise, with their unique monster systems? For World we had tempered and arch-tempered monsters, in Rise we had the afflicted monsters. Does this Rathalos represent whatever the system for that is going to be in Wilds? But right now, we just don't know. Moving on, here's a few different gameplay reveals throughout the trailer, like the new gadgets and traps and tools used by allies, such as this one by Upalico. It calls out Flying Feline, which is basically an air balloon style attack that seems to fire a cannon from reasonably high up that hits hard. It staggers this Rathian, so that seems like one of the different super moves of Upalico. Maybe we'll be able to equip different ones. We've seen quite a few throughout the trailers, and this one seems quite strong. However, there's another one here where we have an unknown voice calling out, make use of the monster attack to set it off. Maybe that's actually an NPC ally on this hunt, bringing this gadget. It seems like an explosive barrel bomb that's triggered when the monster actually hits it though. So yes, new combat gadgets that maybe we are able to pick and choose between. One thing we saw for a weapon is this new lance counter, which was teased in the community update. We got a little look at it, but here we actually get some more footage of it shown against Yan Kut-Ku. The shield takes the multiple hits from Yan back to back, absorbing it and then thrusting back for multiple ticks of damage. It could be indeed that this takes hits, and the bigger the hits, the more it sends out. But be aware that this is probably the new Udra Lance, as we'll soon talk about, which is likely why we see that hint of fire behind the hit, since you know, fire monster, probably fire weapon. Couple other details we saw, some new endemic life, these strange green parrot bird things everyone's calling the Duolingo owl. There's a new small monster, some of these like goat creatures running across the ice shard cliffs in a very vertical way. And yes, they cooked everyone's favourite salamander. The Geladron, the new small monster that's found in the Oilwell Basin that people fell in love with after being shown it properly in Trailer 5. It looks like the tribe in the Oilwell Basin eats those creatures. Poor thing. One final thing I want to mention is that Nerscylla has captured something. And it isn't just a Gypsaros like we've seen in some gameplay. It's a little creature that may very well be a wudwud. We know that we are going to get help from wudwuds in the 4th locale, so it could be one of those. Moving on, we do have a bit of a story reveal or progression through this trailer, where we see Nata is crying about not knowing which group is worse, meaning his or another's. Obviously, we don't have the context for this, but some sort of mystery is going on with the story, so maybe this is to do with that reveal. Obviously, we know that we have the whole Keepers tribe, where Nata comes from, how Arkveld has those chains, and was apparently extinct, or at least thought extinct, and Arkveld broke 3, and in doing so, destroyed Nata's tribe, and he was like the only survivor. That's the introduction we were given. So I'm thinking that that's a scene in relation to Nata discovering who or what his tribe was really doing as the keepers of Arkveld, right? Were they his jailers? Is he upset about that? We'll have to see. But a new character is introduced after that we've not seen before. Someone telling Nata about watching something's existence unfold, which is then followed by new Arkveld gameplay in what looks to be the Ice Shard Cliffs. So are we going to find out what the real deal with Arkveld is? And then, are we going to let it do whatever it's actually trying to do with the other apexes? In the final shot before the title card though, we see Arkveld where it's looking way more purple and glowing across all of its body, not just the chains, so maybe that's part of that process. But that's about the best speculation I can give based on very little we've seen in the trailer. Now, throughout this trailer, we did get loads of tiny bits of familiar gameplay sections, with new weapons and armor being shown, many of which we'd never seen before. For new monsters, we get a look at a Ajarakan and its hunting horn in an opening clip alongside the armor set we've seen before. Looks pretty cool. We get our first look at Doshaguma's jewel blades, these big meaty cleavers, they look great. We have seen different Lala barina sets, including the SNS and its armor set in general, so this is a familiar one. There was Rompompolo's heavy bowgun, and what appears to be Rompompolo's charge blade. If not, maybe it could be New Udra. We see it 2 times in the trailer, once where it's used against Arkveld, and then once against Rathian, where he's actually wearing the Rompompolo armor set. So it does seem like, you know, because they're doing that Ajarakan hunting horn with armor set, it does seem like that could be its charge blade, but I'm not 100%. There's the Hirabami bow and armor set shown, quematrice's jewel blades and mail armor, which looks pretty cool. For returning monsters, we get a look at the Conga Lala armor set when we're seeing this row of people doing barbecue. But also the jewel blades when they're being used against Gravios, a different hunter's holding them in front of you and we can see their funny little outline. For Gravios, we get a quick look at its armor set here or there. We see its jewel blades against Rompompolo, barely seeing them, but they are familiar. The return of Nerscylla and his armor set is shown with this great sword user, looks awesome, like a Power Ranger or something. Gypsaros got quite a few looks. For example, we get a look at the hammer when used against Yenkuk-ku. There's also the gun lance and armor, and also the female version of the armor. Again, the left one on the barbecue line appears to be that. There's a familiar look of Gore Magala with the switch axe and female armor later on. And we get a look at some updated Yenkuk-ku gear. There's the light bowgun and the female Yen armor, it would appear. And there's the male Yenkuk-ku armor, the second on the left during that barbecue line. But then we have the big boys, the apexes and the flagship gear. They showed us Arkveld armor and the longsword in this clip in the Oilwell Basin against Ajarakan. This looks incredible. The armor set, I think this is the more masculine armor set, looks awesome, but the longsword steals the show. It looks like it's just a greatsword, then he puts it into the sheath to reveal it's actually a longsword, and that sheath looks insane, like open to show the glowing red, the chains wrapping around it. I'm so excited to see Arkveld gear. Also seen now though, we get a look at the rayed out armor shown with this SNS against chatacabra of all things. There's the Duna set properly shown where they're using a bow. Looks like you're just on holiday. But there's also the Othuna switch axe shown later in the Windward Plains against a Rathian. For New Udra, this is interesting. Look at this armor set. Here we get this brief frame where we're looking at this cool blue ceiling. You can just barely see the strange armor set of New Udra, which is shown later, I'm not sure whether it's masculine or female this, against a Yian Kukku, where they're using the lance, which is again where they were using that new lance move. The lance looks so weird, obviously the spiraling tentacle theme of New Udra itself. And finally, what I wasn't expecting to see was Jin dahaad's armor set. Both versions we get a look at. There's the more feminine armor set shown with this heavy bowgun at the same time. Really cool, very guild themey. Whereas we think we see the male armor set in this brief clip against Hirabami. I think that's also the insect glaive because it does appear to be, you know, the vaulting dance occurring at that moment. But we don't get a great look at these. Still, I saw way more than I expected to in that trailer, so can't complain. At the end of the trailer, we also get information about the first free title update that's coming in spring, and it's of course Mizutsune. It makes sense, they recently did the update for this for Rise, bringing it forward into Wilds shouldn't be too hard. There's also going to be additional updates and event quests coming then too. And then later we're going to get our second free title update in the summer with another new monster added and more event quests. But yeah, that's everything I was able to spot and wanted to highlight for you in this video. If you guys saw anything else, any other armor sets, weapons, or details, let us know in the comments. But I really hope that we basically get nothing from here on up to launch. I would love for them to keep any mystery, any surprise reveals for the full release. But we'll see. For now, I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice, to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.